President and CEO of the Boston Red Sox, Sam Kennedy. We should be here talking about the first game of the postseason. For the third straight year, we're not. And I know that as a guy who grew up here cheering for this team and who now is in charge of this team, that's not acceptable to you. And we'll dig into some of the public perception and all of that. But let's just begin with how you feel. And again, it's been a couple of weeks realistically, a few days mathematically, but now the finality of knowing there's no playoff baseball in Boston for the third straight year. How do you react to that?
It's frustrating and disappointing, especially when there was a feeling here yesterday at the ballpark, frankly all weekend, that none of us wanted this to end. I think this team, there weren't a lot of expectations outside the walls of our clubhouse and our front office, but we actually had significantly higher hopes and expectations internally, just given a lot of the things that we had seen with these young guys taking the next step, some of the additions that we had brought from the outside. So we were very optimistic. And yeah, we shouldn't be talking about looking forward to next season this time of year. This is a time of year we should be talking about who's starting game one in a postseason series. And that's what we have to get back to. That's what we're committed to. And I do think that Alex Cora said it well, that we sort of feel like the struggles of the last 2 years are behind us. And it's time to turn the page and really focus on building upon this great young core of players. Again, long way to go, but it does feel like we're building something special here, and it's time to take that next step. It really is time.
You know, there are a lot of things you can look at this season that I think you can feel better about where things are. But the other side of that is you're 10 games up at the All-Star break. You make a much more defined effort to go after help for now, right? You trade away prospect capital to bring in primarily pitchers who are supposed to help. It doesn't work out. Does that make the last 5-6 weeks that much tougher because you actually were in a position coming into August that was probably better than the last couple of years?
For sure. I mean, there was a period of time during the middle of the season when we were talking about winning the division, which is where we should be. Again, I hate this notion that, we're focused on just doing enough to, make it look like we're trying to win or just do enough to get into the postseason. You really don't want to be in that 83 to 87 win territory because it's so dangerous. You look at what's happening today with the Mets and the Braves. You really need to build a roster and have a team that is built to win that division. That's where we want to get to is talking about winning the American League East and setting ourselves up for a bye, let alone just sort of sneaking into it. Now, we've won the World Series coming in from a wild card, but really that needs to be the goal. The focus needs to be on what can we do this offseason to get this team in a position where we have a chance to win the American League East and get the Red Sox back to where they belong.
This past offseason, you talk now about winning the division being a goal, which is, last year you talked about the goal of we have to get back to winning. This year, I think you're being more precise about it in terms of talking about the need to win the AL East and not just the postseason as a goal. The moves that you guys made last offseason, there had been expectations that were throttled up, if you will, you obviously signed Giolito, but that was to a relatively short-term deal, staying away from some of the top pitchers on the market, not all of them. You also made a number of trades or moves that were with the future in mind, whether it was trading John Schreiber in spring training for a minor league pitcher, whether it was signing Liam Hendricks with some of the money that you had left over to a deal that was mostly going to pay off in 2025, and signing some of the long-term deals, right? There was a lot of capital that was invested beyond this season. Do you feel like you did? Do you feel like you honored the goal last offseason of pursuing a division title, or do you feel like too much was pushed towards what was invested for the long term? And I should also mention Sale and Vaughn Grissom, right? Because that's a glaring one.
Yeah, I think the simple answer is we didn't do enough. When you finish 81 and 81, you're 500. It's not where we want to be. So no, we didn't do enough. We didn't honor our commitment, which is to fielding a team that is built for the postseason. That's on us. We did do some things that were geared more long-term in nature, hopefully hopefully those moves will help us out in 2025, 26, and beyond. Hardest thing in baseball, hardest thing in any sports operation is to balance the near term with the long term. And look, we are blessed with the best fan base in baseball. We are blessed with high expectations. We're blessed with incredible support, and we are going to never take that for granted. And hopefully, we make the moves this coming off season that put us in that position where, again, we're talking about the AL East Division champions as opposed to a team that fell short of postseason play.
Do you expect to consider a different variety of moves? And if so, like, what does that entail? And I'll take it back to the level of there is a large belief that the rotation was really good, but that you do not have kind of the clear number one starter that would enter into a postseason series. Like, that's the dude in game one, right? Obviously, you guys have discussed right-handed bats, but like, are you guys, yes, how different will the kind of moves be that you consider this offseason, and can you offer kind of clarity to fans about what they might expect?
Yeah, there's been a very affirmative strategy the last 3, 4, or 5 years to ferociously protect and hold on to prospects. One of the things we really needed to do during that period was build up our farm system, our minor league operation, our infrastructure work. But it's too much to ask our fans to care that much about our infrastructure and our farm system. Our fans care about what's happening at the big league level and winning games at the major league level and getting into the postseason. So I think you're going to see a sense of urgency around improving what is an organization at the big league level with great building blocks. But again, talk now is hollow and sort of cheap. We just have to go and do the right things that put us in that position to push towards 90, 95 wins, so you know that you're in a spot where you're in the postseason. Now, it's easy to say that; it's much harder to do it. But you'll see us, as Craig Breslow said today at the press conference. I think you'll see us exploring all avenues, from free agency to trades, and also looking at some of these guys that are homegrown, that took the ball every 5 days and really took the next step in their pitching development. We have not done a good job with pitching development, and actually it's my lifetime as a Red Sox fan if I go all the way back to being a kid growing up here. And it was great to see what Tanner Houck did and Brian Bayo did and Cutter Crawford did. And I think those guys really stepping up and getting to the next level. Garrett Whitlock grabbed me yesterday after the game and said, I'm starting tomorrow. Like, I cannot wait to get back into the postseason, and there he is right now. So there's again, it's hard to say when you had a 500 season, but there is a very positive feeling in that clubhouse, and in terms of what's possible in the future. Not about what we did or didn't do this year, but about where this organization is going. It's also really critical that we've got stability in baseball operations now. Craig Breslow is here; it's going to be here for the long term. Alex Cora is here; it's going to be here for the long term. And having that stability, I believe, is critical. When we've had success here with the Red Sox, we've had stability in our baseball operation, and that's on us. And we've gotten away from that. Again, that's on us. But we have it now, and hopefully good results will follow.